Hall of Famer Jared Allen, you said, I guess there's the knock. First of all, I'm opening champagne for you. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you because you did it your way more than anything. We joked about like if you could change your mullet and get in, would you? And you're like, absolutely not. I love that you are who you are. What was that knock like? What is the Hall of Fame knock?
It was cool. I was kind of expecting it, I think, because when you get rejected so many times, you start feeling, the time frame of when either you're getting rejected or you might get in. So my publicist, who has never been to my house in Nashville, all of a sudden was like, "Hey, I'm coming through Nashville. We're going to go talk to Will Levis. We're signing him as a client." And I'm like, first of all, Will Levis probably going to get cut from the Titans because he hasn't been very good. So that's lie number one. But no, it was cool. So I was kind of like, is it coming today? Is it coming tomorrow? And I just got off the phone with Jim, or just did Jim Rome's podcast too, or whatever, and show. And so they kind of caught us at a hectic moment. We were ready to. We had volleyball in a couple hours and that kind of stuff. So we were just going. Yeah, I was no joke. I just came in from painting the chicken coop and was about ready to start getting helping my wife get things ready to get the girls out the door for volleyball in a couple hours. And then Steve shows up, and Steve is the only teammate I know that lives by me who's in the Hall of Fame. So when he shows up at your door, you're like, oh, I guess this is my knock. I guess I'm in the Hall of Fame now. So it was cool. It was, like I said, they kind of just bombarded into my wife was like, "You didn't look overly thrilled." I was like, well, crap. I mean, they started moving furniture around. We were trying to cook dinner. We're trying to get things done. Y'all got to give me a heads up. So no, but it was a fun moment. It was a cool deal.
Hold on. You look. There's no way look how well you're, like, super well dressed. You run a comb through the mullet. Like, you knew this was happening.
I literally just took my hat off.
You did not come straight from this was not from a chicken coop. That was like straight from like I'm ready to have my sit down. Like, come on. Look
100%.
Run that back.
Absolutely not. I promise you on everything. My wife was she said she was impressed. She's like, you actually put on like a long sleeve shirt that day, because normally I just throw on a t-shirt. But it was a little chilly. So, so no, I literally, I was outside doing chores. So I had to dress the part. I just took my hat off and thrown it inside. And, when you got a salad this good, it just always is awesome. Yeah, it was one of those deals. I figured it was coming in one of those days if I was going to get it or not. But it was a fun deal. Always good to see fellow teammates, especially other Hall of Famers. Glad my kids were home. My wife was like rushing home. She just got home picking the kids up from car line and all that stuff. So, like I said, we were just in the middle of our routine, and that's what it was.
So did the girls get to volleyball, or what happened? We just like,
we chased Jim and everybody. Said, you guys got like an hour and a half in here. I need the kitchen back. We got food to make. We got to roll. And I'm like a glorified intern down at the volleyball coachings, and so we hit the door about 5:30. Sorry guys, you got to roll. We got to go. Life goes on.
So
I told you, my life doesn't change much. My life doesn't change much. I got chores to do. I got kids to chase. I got things to do. So it was great. It was a great honor. My voice is gone because I just got back from 4 days in St. Louis at a volleyball tournament. So yeah, again, it just keeps on moving.
No, what do you mean it keeps on moving? How do you feel? Does it feel like? And cheers to you with my Labyrinth mug this morning. Cheers to you.
Okay.
Hall of Famer Jared Allen. Does it feel like what you thought it would feel like? And what does it feel like?
No, so I don't think it's quite hit me yet. It's obviously it's a great honor. I love it. It's fantastic. I have moments where it really you kind of sinks in, and those moments are when you get to sit around and talk with the other Hall of Famers. When I got, you got moments where you get to sit and we have like a little luncheon at the Super Bowl. And like a breakfast, and you get to hear like Leroy Butler talk. You hear Zach Thomas talk, Chris Carter, obviously, seeing Warren Sapp and Hutch and on stage. For me, what really got me was when I saw T.O. embrace Sterling. Man, that to me was what the kind of the Hall of Fame was all about. Obviously Sterling played a big role in T.O.'s career life. I don't know what their relationship is, but the pure emotion and joy that came, out on that stage to see, two different generational players now on the same team as equals is really, really a cool deal. I think that's kind of what, you don't understand about the Hall until you're in. It's
Wow.
the guys, it's this forever team, right? And it's guys that I looked up to. It's guys that, I took parts of their game and implemented into mine, and now I get to sit there and, as my Hawaiian friends say, talk story with them, and just kind of hang out and appreciate each other on the same level. It's pretty cool.
I love hearing you talk like this, taking a minute to celebrate yourself before volleyball tournaments and all of that. And it's just like the beginning of this journey with Canton and having to make all these decisions. I want to dig into that a little bit. I know it's kind of early, but the questions that's on my mind is, how close were you to shooting Steve Hutchinson?
Truth be told, I had a pistol in my vest. So, they made me zip it up for the other interview because they could see it. And, I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. I stay armed. And so, yeah, I was like, well, my dogs were barking too. I'm like, how did they get through my gate without knowing? So someone distracted me and opened the gate. But
Did
yeah,
your wife
know.
and publicist consider that though? Like, was she like, I wonder how much they considered the fact that you probably are armed and someone's coming onto your property. Like, that's a thought for Steve too, I'm sure.
Yeah, they. I'm sure everybody was aware of it, and cameras usually alert me. I was being distracted though. Usually, I know when people are coming on my place, so they're announced ahead of time. We are, like I said, we make sure we got everything covered.
You were talking about just, I love how you just like own who you are, love who you are. I love who you are. Everyone loves who you are. Are you the most, how do I say this? Are you the most like country guy in the Hall of Fame? Do you think? Do you take the cake on that?
Blunt, maybe Mel Blunt though. Mel Blunt rocks a cowboy hat everywhere he goes to. I don't know everybody's background. So, for me, one question they asked me in that, we were sitting down during the knock session when they came in. They said, what do you think you left the game of football, right? And my answer was authenticity, and I think that's just how I try to live my life. I don't want it's too much of a hassle to try to be someone you're not and stuff like that. So I just try to be authentic to who I am, to how I was raised, and the man I want to be, and the man I want to continue to be. As a role model for my kids, obviously representing myself and my wife and our family. So that's just who I try to be. And I find it's too hard to pretend. It's too hard to try to be something you're not. So, I don't know if I'm the most country guy, but I'll tell you what, I'm real, and that's all I know how to be.
I love that for you, and congratulations, and all these things to consider now, and like all these things to be grateful. I mean, you really waited. This is the 5th time you were a finalist, and this was the smallest class in 20 years. Why do you think you got in now? Like, was there something different, or have you thought about that or asked about it?
No, you know what? I don't know, right? Because obviously my stats haven't changed, and I think that's the frustration part that a lot of people feel, and I feel for guys like, Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne and stuff like that. They've been waiting longer than me. And, and anybody who has to hear that rejection, right? Again, we're not all going to be first ballot. I get that. And I get the process. And, and I've had talks with Jim and guys at the Hall, and they want to work better, to be more transparent. They want to make some changes to make it feel like it's more of a celebration and not a letdown, right? Because that's the tough part when you don't know the criteria, and my stats can't change, so you kind of feel like, well, was there just less people to compare me to? What's the deal this time, that time, whatever? Eric Allen put it best. He's like, we all respect each other, we all love each other, but we're all competitors. And so what happens is, the part of the frustration is you start competing against guys that hold up, I'm friends with these guys, I like these guys, I'm a big fan of these guys. But then you try to compete your stats against their stats. So that's the hard part. That's the part that's frustrating. So I don't know what the answer is. And listen, I heard, I think Rich Eisen or someone said something early, like they couldn't believe this, that they made a reference that there was, there's been people waiting a long time and there were still open seats on the bus. I don't know why it was for. That's for the voters to determine. I do know that they're trying to, tighten the process up, from what I understand. So I'm thankful to get in. It's a great class. And I tell you what, I'm blessed to be in a class with a bunch of humble dudes. Eric, Sterling, and Antonio. I mean, everybody just super chill. No one's ego is out there, and I think especially and that's perspective, right? And Chris Carter told me in London this year. He said, "Man, once you get in, Jared," he said, "the frustration on the process fades," and he's 100% right, because then you start focusing on all the joys. You start focusing. You focus on the positives, and then you realize, man, I'm over here. kind of pissed off about waiting 5 times, but, Eric Allen was eligible for 19 years. What about, Sterling had to go all the way into the senior division. Yeah. And so, and the one thing everybody says, which is true, is once you're in, no one says like, oh, I'm second ballot or I'm first ballot, I'm fifth ballot. You know what I mean? Everybody's just equal. And so those topics never come up. And so you really kind of, the sting of the process starts to wear off. So yeah, but again, I don't know why this was my year. Maybe they got tired of, seeing my face on the ballot. we got to get this guy answered up. But who knows? But, again, it's one of those things where, it's always great. I say it all the time. I played this game for the respect of my peers and the respect of those who played before me. And so for me, the greatest moments so far of being in the Hall of Fame is getting to go and talk to guys. When Champ Bailey comes up to me and says, hey, man, it's about time. Well, that to me means more than anything a voter could tell me, any Gold Jacket could represent. Like, those moments are what are like, hey, man, that's awesome. And not because, I'm finally in the Hall. It's that here's one of the greatest players of all time, recognizing that, the way I played the game paid homage to the way he played the game. So, those are the fun moments, and I look forward to more of those moments. I'm sure, it'll probably hit me when I'm standing in those hallowed halls of Canton.
Yeah.
Being a history guy, seeing the history, feeling it, touching it, that kind of stuff. So, just trying to enjoy the process, trying to, pray for my wife, because logistically she's got a lot to work.
I was going to say, shout out to your wife. That's a lot to manage, to distract you and get these publicists in and make it. I mean, it's such a special moment. So to land it had to be a little stressful for her. And now you're launching into this process.
They didn't give her a whole lot of heads up either. You know what I mean? And so, they kind of, I was like, who yells on my wife? Trying to barge in on us like this.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll get a shout out in the speech, Jared. I want to talk about Canton. You're focused on the moment. I'm focused on what the hell is his bust going to look like, man. Talk me through your original thoughts. I can't decide. I was in the morning meeting this morning and I'm like, does he care? Does he care at all? But yeah, I bet he does care. It's immortalization. History matters to you. What are we doing with the hair?
Oh, full mullet. Absolutely full mullet. Got to find the right mullet. I'm trying to decide if I want 42-year-old hairline or 24-year-old hairline. Kind of, do I want 255, 260 face or grown up, more distinguished face? How do we do a beard? I've always got a beard. Do I go Fu Man? I don't know. Those are tough decisions. Do racing stripes, not racing stripes. Those are the ones we're trying to figure out. It'll be iconic. It'll absolutely rock a mullet. They did tell us too, they're like, it's hard to do teeth because they're bronze, obviously, or whatever. And, but I'm like, I'm not mean mugging. I'm happy. When I'm whooping people, it's fun. So it's just you're just always smiling. So yeah, those are the big decisions. Smile, no smile, but I got to find the right length. I got to get this grown out a little more. I had it cut right before the Super Bowl. Not length, they thinned it out, and somehow when they thin it out, you disappear like that.
Your hair's looking a little short there, buddy.
No, and it's curly. It was down to here, and every time they thin it out, I lose 3 inches. So I got to figure this out. I got to get some.
Jared, I don't think that qualifies as a mullet anymore. What you got going on back there?
Oh, you get your tongue over there.
Oh, you're right. Okay, fine. You're right. Yeah. You're right. What are you leaning towards? What kind of? You're saying we got to find the right mullet. As someone who has no idea what that means, what is the right mullet?
Well, I mean, again, so I had days, where my hair was long and it was bushy out to here. I mean, I had it straightened at some point. So you got to find the right picture to send, the bus makers to really capture the essence. You only got to do it once. So I'll figure it out. Probably there's enough pictures out there. I think that we can pull something awesome off.
I think out of anybody, I think you have the chance to take Ed Reed out. I mean, Ed Reed is.
Ed Reed's hair is awesome. I mean, and his beard.
Or just the whole thing is just the expression. His is that is the 10 out of 10. That's where you should be aiming to take his out.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to figure out how that works. I had to go look at his bust because I'm like, how did they capture his beard? Right? You can't have an Ed Reed bust without his beard.
No.
So
they have it. His is spooky accurate, and I feel like when you actually go to the hall, his eyes sort of follow you out of all of them. Okay, I really feel like
I've never been there, so I'm excited to see it.
You've never been to Canton?
Never been to Canton. So again, this falls. I've been invited, I think 3 times from former teammates, and but the weekend always falls on my daughter's birthday.
Oh,
So,
love,
I'm
yeah.
like, go spend your birthday in Canton celebrating people you don't know. And she's like, nope, I want a swim party or unicorns. And so we always parties and unicorns.
I think we have Ed Reed. Let's see Ed Reed's. This is the standard.
Oh,
That's
yeah. That's well done.
It's the best one. But he's smiling, but he's not showing teeth. I don't think you should show teeth. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's kind of what we're leaning towards. Yep. That's high level right there.
That's a good
So
one.
yep. That they did a good job. So now I'm positive I get my beard in there. Oh, we got some. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
nice.
I want to
It's
know
gonna be
who's on the committee. You keep saying we. Who's deciding this? Who's in the group?
my wife and I. That's the only committee I ever. Everyone's, I literally told the people at the Hall of Fame, like, I don't know how guys roll, but I don't need middle people. Me and my wife do a thing we like to call adulting. So if you got something you need to talk to me about, go ahead and pick up the phone, give me a call, and we'll get it figured out.
I love that. And I have one other question about this as I've been thinking about it all morning. You are known, my friend, to bring it's you, your wife, and horses, right? These big moments. Your retirement announcement, Alan, you got, the Vikings Ring of Honor. There were horses involved. Can I expect a horse in Canton, something like that? Come on.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know because it's like, has it been overdone? I don't know.
No.
I'm thinking, the stage, it might have to be like a stick horse. Hobby horsing is a cool thing right now. I rock out right out on a stick horse. Who knows? With the stage a little small, but I'm sure we'll think of something special. I've had thoughts maybe a Trans Am. I don't know. Maybe we go Burt Reynolds style. Who knows?
I love that. I wonder if because everything you're saying, like even just about the mullet, how you want to look, what age or whatever. Like, what if you just do like your best season? Is that interesting to you? Like 2011, wasn't that your 22 sack season? Like maybe like that's how you want to look.
Yeah, I could go back and look at the hair in that season.
Yeah.
I think my mullet was on point in like 2007, 2008
Yeah.
campaign. It was insane when I first came out with the mullet. It was nice back when before my hair started falling out, all that good stuff. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. There's options.
You had a goatee. You had a goatee. I don't know if I control and can pull it up while we keep talking here, but 2011 you had a goatee. And your mullet was a little longer than you have it now.
Did I have a
I don't know if that even means. I'd like to see, but I think like that iconic 22 sack season would be a great place to go. Did you see this? I don't know how social, how you're on social. You're a very busy, full life. The Idaho State photo. Did you see this?
No.
Oh, this has been going around on social.
Oh, really? Yeah, that picture's awesome. Hey, I'm fat.
Photo. What are you telling this kid from knowing now that you're a Hall of Famer? Like, what would you tell this kid?
Well done, sir. Well done. So we were not allowed to have facial hair below our lip line in college. So, and then we used to think it was cool to be in the 20% body fat club. Don't tell me why. I don't know. The worst advice I ever got as an athlete was to be 20% body fat. I don't know where that came about, but I was like stoked to have that. As you can see, the flat tire around my waist there. And so we went. That was my homage to the Razor Ramon. So we always try to come up with stupid things to do to piss our coach off for photo days because he wouldn't let us have beards or goatees or anything like that. So we would do the little curl around the that was my little razor. I didn't have a long enough lock to get the full curl, so I had a little like fish hook, 70 sideburns. Just way too tight or way too thick of a body.
This is a real look how happy you are. Come on.
I clearly wasn't eating organically back then like I am now.
Oh, you everything had its place and everything led to you being a Hall of Famer at the right time. I think I like hearing you say you like your class. I think that's a cool takeaway for me. And this is such an honor, by the way, just to reminisce with you about this. It's insane. Like I'm pinching myself, but just like you do care, like you're happy to be part of this class. I think that I in a vacuum as a non-athlete never think of it that way. So that's really special. It's the right time for you to.
Absolutely. And that's what, Chris Carter said. He said, God's time is never wrong. Right. And I think, the more I get to take a step back, because even as we've talked about it over the years, it's like, I don't think about it for 11 months and 3 weeks or, 1 week. Right. And then there's like a 3-week run up where you're thinking about the Hall and then you're frustrated because you're thinking you're going to get in and you don't get in, and then you're pissed because you're pissed, and then you forget about it again, right? But then the feelings come back up, and so I think when you finally, obviously once you're in, you get to take a sigh of relief and you take a step back and you're like, okay, I don't know God's plan, and as a man of faith, you got to keep that in perspective. And sometimes it's hard because you start getting into your own head, or you start trying to compare notes, and like Eric said, you're competitive, so this competitive fire takes over. And so now that I get to take a step back, you look at it and you're like, again, I don't know why this was the year, but it is the year. It's a great year. And now I'm forever cemented with these 3 other guys. And that's the cool part about it is being able to, share experiences with these guys, and be honest, it would be rough if someone had an ego that was taking up the whole room and just can't really enjoy it. Right.
Yeah.
The time we spent together briefly, at the Super Bowl the families are great. The camaraderie's been great. I think, to be honest, I think all of us were so stoked for Sterling just because of how dominant he was. And unfortunately, his career got cut short, with injury. And so to see him recognized, and, he's such a humble dude. Like, that dude is so humble. He's kind of like, oh, I don't really care, whatever. I never expected this. It is what it is. It was either football or farming. Listening to him talk.
It's all humble and egoless until you bring some stallion in there and ride it into the Hall of Fame and take over the internet with that. Sterling will be pissed about that. Kidding. Let's take a look at they pulled an image, the 2011 22 sack season. This is you running after Tim Tebow without your helmet. Like that's pretty iconic. I don't know. Headband?
Headband or no headband. That's what I got to figure out as well. I always have a headband on, Yeah,
we're gonna help you. I know you guys don't want the help, but this is gonna go onto the internet, and it's going. And what should Jared Allen do? It's so tough to be you, Hall of Famer, to make these tough decisions. And I will tell you, there's a little bit of new weight with everything you say. You are now Hall of Famer Jared Allen, so what you say has a little more gravity to it. And on that note, I will ask you about your Vikings and what you think. I'd like to know from you here. So just has get a couple football questions in here. What do you think they should do at quarterback? What do you think they should do with Sam Darnold?
I mean, again, for me, it's either you have to decide if JJ's your guy or not, right? And to be honest, I think what Kevin and they did with Sam this year was fantastic. I thought Sam had a great year, but as a fan, I got nervous the last 2 weeks. Granted, I don't think he's played a lot of big games in his career, and in the 2 biggest games we had, this year in the franchise season. It wasn't great. Obviously the O-line did not hold up very well in the playoff game, but for me, he looked a little shook. As I'm looking at it as a defensive player, I'm chomping at the bit. And unfortunately, this league, you look what happened to the Chiefs too. Once you get exposed on something, people are going to use that format against you. So, I think Sam was great while he was there. He did what he gave the Vikings fans a season that, a lot of people didn't think we were going to have. And that's how, and I mean, that's why Kevin got, coach of the year. You look what he did and was able to, when people thought it was going to be a pseudo rebuilding year, when we're drafting, a young quarterback high and bringing Sam in to compete and be backup, and ends up starting. And then we run off, a 14-win season, or 15-win season, wasn't it? Or I don't even know. Or 14, I guess. We lost the Rams or the Lions twice. That was phenomenal. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to win Super Bowls. And if I'm being brutally honest, I don't know that he's going to be the guy that takes us to a Super Bowl, unless he can learn from that. And again, hopefully he learns from those experiences and in the bigger games he steps up. But then, what do you do with JJ in the background? Again, not, I have full trust in Kwesi and what the organization is going to do. Mm-hmm. But I think, and either JJ is the guy and you got to give him the reins, or you got to figure out a long-term goal. And if you think Sam's a long-term goal, that's fine. But then you got to go out and you got to bolster that offensive line, and you got to do some things to where, you can take the ball out of his hands, a few more times in the game and not force him to drop back and throw the ball 40 times a game.
So here's the options. They can franchise Sam. They could tag him. That would be $41 million this year. They could try for a long-term contract with Sam, which would be, 4 years, $160 million ish. They could roll with JJ McCarthy, commit to him, let Sam walk. They could bring in a veteran quarterback. we're hearing, and I know that you're not active on the Twitter, the old Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers vibe, Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings. Would the talk of bringing in Aaron Rodgers, does that get you there with these goals you're talking about, which is to get to a Super Bowl?
So again, I say reluctantly yes, only because I experienced it with Brett, right? And it's creepy how it's the same path, right? Brett went to the, everybody thought Brett was done. He came to us in 2009 and he had fire, right? And I mean, he was hungry, and we went out and destroyed the North, and could have won. I'm not opposed to that, right? I'm not opposed. You
went to the NFC title game with Brett.
That's my point. You see what O'Connell's capable of, right? You see the weapons we have, and I think again, I think O'Connell's got a way of coaching people and getting people the best out of them. So I guess the question is where does Aaron's head lie in that, right? Is he willing to come in and be a functional part of this organization, to be a functional part of that, that process? Or is that demand, it's hard sometimes when a vet's had so much success to kind of, let loose of the reins and let the coach. But again, I'm not opposed to that on a 1-year stopgap. If you think JJ McCarthy needs a little more time, because let's be honest, if you want your young quarterback, who we're saying is the future of the Vikings, there's not many better people he can learn behind. You look at the success Aaron Rodgers has sitting behind Brett Favre all those years, and now you have an opportunity. So, if you can do it at a decent rate, I mean, the weapons are there, and my goodness, I know
that you want him. Yeah, I know that you want him to end on a high note. Sorry, finish your thought. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm saying it would be interesting. As a fan, it would be interesting and it would be fun. And yeah, I mean, I think, I competed against Aaron so many years. I got a ton of respect for him. So, I understand his want to. You always want an end on a high note. And even if it's just a fun, it doesn't have to be a successful season, right? You just want to have fun. You don't want the drama. So, we'll see. And again, I think the fans of Minnesota, we're tired of being there and not getting. I mean, like, it's just, and I get it, because we did the same thing. You get close. You get to the NFC Championship game, you lose. We've done that, a couple times in the last 10 years. And Kevin has just been nonstop, right there at the top, right at the precipice. And it's like, what's that one that's going to put us overboard? And I truly think it's a quarterback that can go out and win games on his own. We haven't had that since Brett. We have not.
Can Aaron do that with what you saw last year? That's the big question. And Aaron, one of the greatest. And Aaron thrived. His best years were under in an offense like LaFleur. So him and Kevin O'Connell will jive. We know that. Is he that? Last question is he that guy? Does he still have it in your eyes?
I don't know.
He can win games on his own.
He's in New York, right? And you don't know what the internal dynamics of a franchise are, though. I mean, you're firing your head coach. You're getting there's a whole bunch of drama going on, so that can affect a lot of people. He's coming off an Achilles. You're like, he seemed to be okay. But the question would be is what does he have? What is his drive left? Like, what does Aaron want to do? I think that's the only question, if this were to play out into fruition. I mean, Kwesi and the head coaching staff, Kevin and the coaching staff would have to sit down with him, and he'd have to give an honest assessment of, dude, how much passion do you have left for this game? Can you go out there and give it one more year, ups and downs? You never can guarantee anything as long as people, stay, healthy. You have a shot. And I think that would be the biggest question. As a fan, I think it's I think it's fun. Again, and then you have to look at what does that do for JJ McCarthy's mental. If you're saying you don't think he's ready to, be handed the reins yet, but at the time, if I'm him, it's not. You look at the success of top pick quarterbacks that have sat for a few years, especially behind really, really good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they all have phenomenal careers.
I think love that for him.
A lot of these kids get rushed to the table. And so again, that's, and if you can get, let's say it this way, if you can get Aaron for the same price you get for 1 year, who do you take?
That's what I'm asking you. You're telling me it's Aaron because you have more trust in him in big games. That's what I'm hearing.
If it's the same price and it's a 1 year stopgap, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
make that. I don't know that everyone's going to agree with that, but listen, you go tend to your chicken coop and you figure out what that mullet's going to look like. That is the smile that we love. You cannot write the history of the NFL without Jared Allen. Congrats on the Hall of Fame, and thanks for coming on the show. You're amazing. Thank you.
I always appreciate it.